How's it going, everybody? It's your boy Jose, aka TheNYCGeek, aka TNG, aka your Elden Lord, even under the shadow of the Erd Tree, still your Elden Lord, aka the one who will sit the throne today, aka your tribal chief, aka the guy who wants to talk about something that occurred a few days ago in the YouTube sphere that has really irked me. Okay, I do clearly I do YouTube for fun, right? I don't do this for a living, thank God, because the YouTube gods and the algorithm can be a fickle creature. But I love and I hope to provide some people entertainment, right? This is fun for me. Like I said, it's not only for you viewers that I'm providing that entertainment, but for me, it's fun to get my thoughts out, my rants, my criticisms out there. But there's something that I genuinely take very seriously. This is something that I take seriously, and I have strived to say constantly on this channel, okay? I really have. And that is that I value every bit of time that every single one of you viewers, I value the time that any viewer spends watching my videos, okay? I take that super serious because you're taking the time out of your life right now to watch something that I made, okay? And to me, that means a lot to me, even if you disagree with me, even if you hate my opinion, because you know, you're spending that time, you still deserve my honest criticism, my honest thoughts, my honest rants, whatever. You're investing time in a video I made about criticizing a movie or a show, and you deserve that honesty, right? Not for me to try to sit there and sugarcoat things. I'm certainly not going to lie and placate Hollywood and their bruised egos. And that's one of the reasons why I've never have put any comment moderation in my channels. I don't like hides. I don't hide my likes. I don't hide my dislikes. I don't give a shit about that. Like I said, I don't care. This is fun for me, right? And even if you disagree with me, I try my best to leave a comment. I really do. I try my best to respond to everything I can, even if you're like a woke bigot mind virus who's trying to project your inner racism onto others because you don't want to hear the dissenting voice from a Latino. Even if you're a fake comic book fan, I still try to give you that courtesy, you know, to at least try to respond. If I don't, it's because I actually have a life. But because I believe that in some way, and the reason that I do that is because I believe that in some way, all creators owe something to their fans, to their viewers, all of them, okay? Even if it's something small, you still owe that to them, okay? And there's going to be some people out there who will say, well, no, creators don't owe their fans anything. Yes, they do, okay? I'm not saying they owe their entire livelihoods. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that all creators who create for a living, you owe something to your fans, because if it wasn't for those fans, they wouldn't be where they are now, because without fans of a product, without, you know, there'd be no success anywhere, not on YouTube, not on video games, not on TV shows, nothing, okay? And if you're making a living off of this, if you're making a living off of YouTube, then this is your job, right? Your job is YouTube, which makes your viewers, in a sense, your boss. So you do owe them something, right? And that's why, like, that's one of the reasons why I say that, you know, these companies take for granted their fans. They take for granted the time that you spent on their things, and then they act like they don't owe you anything. Yes, they do. They owe you a good product, okay? And depending on what that product is that is provided for those viewers, what's owed to your audience might change, obviously, okay? That's not all, you know, you might be a VTuber artist that streams like once a month, right? You stream once a month, and maybe you commit, you know, every other month you commission your fans, you do a commission for a lucky fan. Or you might be a podcaster that streams daily. When you're establishing yourself in YouTube or in any medium, as you grow up in popularity, as your fans increase, that's usually when those type of parameters are set, they grow, they change, whatever. Of course, life happens. Maybe somebody has to go on hiatus, an emergency pops up, etc. But that's why I've always used George Martin as an example of a garbage creator, okay? As a really shitty creator, because no matter how rich of a world he has made in his setting, because he has made a beautiful world in Westeros, he's still a shit creator, because at minimum, He should just be honest with his fans and just be like, hey man, like, guys, look, I don't think I'm gonna have writers. I think I got writer's block. I don't know if I'm ever gonna finish these freaking books. Instead of trying to string his fans along constantly, right? That I would have more respect for him if he had said, if he would come on and say something like that, instead of constantly being like, yeah, I'm working it, bro. It's 15 years. Just fucking say you're not gonna do books. But there is a YouTuber out there with a significant presence, a YouTuber, like I said, who has a significant presence on this, who has millions of subscribers, who put out a video recently that really, really fucking got me mad, okay? And I do my absolute best. I truly do. I do my absolute best to avoid naming YouTubers who might be acting like pieces of shit. There's lots of them. Believe me, it's hard to do that. It's hard, okay? Because there are universal garbage people out there, like, and I'll throw a name out there, like Sniper Wolf, who are trash people, right? There's lots of them. And it's not a fear thing. It's not a fear thing. It's not a fear of confrontation thing. I'm not scared of anybody on this damn platform, okay? And that's not I'm not afraid of nobody on this damn platform. And that's not a me trying to act like I'm the baddest man on the planet. I know there are plenty of people on YouTube who could whoop my ass. Believe me, there are plenty of them. But I'm just a grown ass man, okay? I've already gone through my own fair of shit in my life, especially growing up. I've been plenty of gang fights. I got a lot of scars from them. And I've worked in a lot of stressful jobs most of my life with a lot of difficult people in them. So life has hardened me to not fear confrontation, okay? My lack of mentioning people is not from a fear of confrontation. In fact, the only two people that I'm generally scared of in life, the only beings that I fear are God and my wife. So that's it. And last I checked, none of y'all are her. But I do my best to avoid the YouTube drama. Again, not out of a concern of criticizing people or a fear of confrontation, but mainly because I don't ever want to give the appearance like I'm chasing clout or drama. Okay. And because I'm a small channel, and again, this is fun for me. This may be just fun for me, but someone who may not know me, maybe who's new to the channel, they might easily, they could easily mistake that as my intent. So I just wanted to clarify all that. Now, the video that I'm going to be talking about today, that we're going to be watching this. We're going to be watching this together. And because I want to get my thoughts out on it. And I've watched the video. I watched the video once, and I just want to. I watched it last night, and I watched it twice. I watched it before when it originally came out, and then I watched it again last night, and it just fucking further ignited the rage in me. But I've calmed down. I calmed down a little bit, and I just want to I want to talk about this video because it's very important. It's very, very important for you guys to understand the validity of criticism, why it's so important for people to be criticized, okay? And the video at hand is dedicated to a film called Madam Web, and I use that word film, right? It's a review, or a discussion. Let's call it a discussion by a YouTuber known as Chris Stuckmann, okay? This YouTuber, Chris Stuckmann, is a film critic, and I use that title of film critic with all of the press X to doubt power that I could manifest. And Chris also happens to be a filmmaker, which is going to factor in a lot in what he starts talking about, or rather what he avoids saying. And if you have no idea what Madam Web is, it was a horrible, horrible film that came out last week on Valentine's Day. Yo, let me tell you, this movie was horrendous. This movie was so bad. I had the tickets for it, okay? I had tickets for Madam Web, and I remember that it was so bad. Like, I sent screenshots to my friends, and they were like, why are you doing this to yourself? And I'm like, that's what I do, man. I suffer to hopefully provide you guys a little bit of entertainment and to hopefully keep you guys from suffering as well. And that we're going to go more into that. But this is the only movie that I can remember in recent history that I actually asked for a refund. I actually asked the theater, I was like, guys, I need my money back. I can't be watching this piece of shit movie. I can't be spending $50 to $100 on this film, because that's the thing with me, right? When I go to watch a movie, I'm watching a movie. I'm not just watching a movie. I'm buying popcorn. I'm going to be buying some nachos. Maybe I'm hungry. I want a hot dog. I got to get a large drink because I'm going to be there for almost 2 hours. That's like $50 fucking dollars, man. So I was like, I can't be spending that on this fucking movie. Not on this movie. Not by myself, because my wife didn't want any part of this. She was like, hell no. I'm not watching that shit. And my friends had already made plans. So Chris Stuckmann created a video on this horrendous movie that a lot of people have made critiques about. They've made videos about, and I want to address some of the things that he says on this video. Okay, so we're gonna watch it. Hold on a second. Let me just put my headphones on. Bloop. And we're gonna talk about this. We're gonna have a little chatterino, and I want y'all to understand some of the rage that burns in my soul from this. Okay, I hope that's not too loud. My man's got a nice. I'll give him that. I like this intro. I like his intro. I like it.
So I just saw Madam Web.
Okay.
There was no screening for it in my area. There were no late night showings before the day, so I had to go see it on Valentine's Day.
Now, I already from the get-go, like, what do you mean? Who gives a shit? There's screenings for this, right? He gives this air of arrogance, and you're gonna kind of see where it really factors in coming up. Why I feel this way, and why so many have called him out on this, because it's not just me. There are others who are ripping this dude to shreds, far worse than I am, and deservedly so. But let's keep going. Like, he's talking about how he saw this video.
And I thought to myself,
and by the way, I'll put the link on the description. I never want to ever fucking take somebody's content, and not rightly credit where it's come from. I hope I've credited it enough. I'll put it in the description. Y'all can watch this video for yourselves without me interrupting it or without my rants going. And you post what you think, okay?
Probably not going to do a video for this one.
Now,
off of what I've heard.
Okay. This is one of the things that I want to clarify right here. You heard what he said, right? He goes, I'm not going to make a video about this video. I'm not going to make a video about this one because of what I've heard. All right?
I do try to keep it self. Probably not going to do a video for this one.
Let's hear that again.
What I've heard.
Based off what I heard.
I do try to keep it mostly about film celebration on this channel.
I try to keep it about film celebration on this channel. Chris, I don't know if you realize, but there are things that there's a lot of things that you're saying without saying it. The fact that you're saying that you're not going to talk about this movie because you talk about things you want to celebrate means that there's nothing to celebrate in this movie. But the cowardly way that you'll go about saying that you're fucking being a little shill and not going about and saying this to your viewers is one of the things that infuriates me, because there's more that infuriates me about this video. But that's one of the key things. The fact that you call yourself a fucking critic and then you sit there, you're saying, I'm all about celebrating film celebration, because to give more context, right? To give more context on Chris Stuckmann, he used to do criticisms on movies, like actual critiques, right? And then back in 2021, he made a video called Moving Forward. Moving Forward, like somehow he's above making the criticism, moving forward, he doesn't have to critique things anymore. And he talks about how he wants to minimize film reviews and that he would stop criticizing bad films because he would focus instead on analyzing, discussing, and guiding others on filmmaking, right? Listen, dude, you sound like a shill. You sound like a shill and someone who sold your soul to Hollywood by acting like you're not going to talk about bad films. And I don't know what universe people live in where you feel like you can't critique bad things anymore. I got to break it to you. I got to wake y'all up. That's what life is. That's how you learn from mistakes, from criticism. And sometimes people might criticize you and they're wrong. And that's when you start learning about yourself enough to be like, you know what? That person was wrong. They criticized me. They were wrong. And you gain that confidence in yourself. You start to learn about that. Or you take that criticism and you might be like, shit, that person was right. They might have been wrong about that situation, but they're right about this one. And I need to reflect on that. I need to change. I need to improve myself. That's how job performances work. You know, when you get a performance evaluation, it's not going to be in the real world. It's not going to be like where it's going to be, oh, it's everything is participation trophy. Yeah, you fucking suck, but here you go. You're going to get a good evaluation. No, because that doesn't help the worker. That doesn't help the company, and that doesn't help the worker. If you have a bad worker and you are constantly giving them 5 out of 5s on their evaluations, and then someday they do something catastrophically bad, and you're like, well, why the fuck did you fuck this up? They're gonna be like, dude, what are you talking about? You said I've been a model employee my whole fucking time here. You have to criticize things, okay? That's how things change. That's how they learn. And there is plenty of criticism to go around when it comes to Madam Web, okay? But let's put it back on the video.
Having seen the film, I'm going to tell you that this is not a movie review of Madam Web.
Which he goes, this is not a movie review about Madam Web, but he made that his thumbnail.
I am not about.
Now, thankfully, he on the title, he didn't put that, you know, he's going to make this a review. He does, I'm not going to criticize him on the title because he did say, I have to talk about this, right? But he did put on his thumbnail a very leading image as if he's going to be talking about the movie.
About bashing filmmakers, artists, a movie
Now,
review.
let me rewind that for y'all.
I'm not about bashing filmmakers, artists. I know how hard it is to make a movie.
Because that is probably outside of the way that you treat your fans, your viewers, outside of the way that you just sat there and basically fucking didn't give the honest to God truth to your viewers. And instead of saying it, you fucking chicken shitted your way around it, right? That right there is what the thing that probably is as equally as the first thing makes me so mad about this video. He sits there and says, I'm not about bashing filmmakers because I know how hard this is. Let me put that back, okay? I want y'all to hear this.
I do not bashing filmmaker. This is.
I want you to hear this again. I'm not going to talk.
Of Madam Web. I am not about bashing filmmakers, artists. I know how hard it is to make a movie. Listen to me, Chris. I want you to listen to me, and I want you to listen very, very well, okay? It is not hard to make a movie. It's not hard to make a movie. Not in the context that you're saying it in. It is certainly complex. It is certainly a craft. There is a lot of moving parts, a lot of cinematography and all that, you know? There is a lot of moving pieces there, okay? But to sit there and say, I'm not about bashing filmmakers and artists because I know how hard it is to make a movie. You know what's a hard job, Chris? Being a teacher. Being a teacher and dealing with the kids of today, okay? You know what's hard, Chris? Being a police officer and putting your life on the line for an ungrateful society. That's hard. You know what's hard, Chris? Being a firefighter and having to go into an inferno when everybody else is going out of it. You know what's hard, Chris? Being a trash worker, going out there in freezing temperatures, hot temperatures, having to pick up pounds upon pounds of garbage and putting it into a dumpster truck, having to hop off and on. That's hard. You know what's hard, Chris? You know what's a hard job? Working in a nursing home and having to clean the piss and shit ridden mattresses of the elderly who live there, like my mom had to do. That's a hard job. That's hard. Grow up. Writing a script, playing pretend on screen while your stunt double does the physical work is not a hard job that somehow makes it exempt from criticism. Because if people could sit out there and criticize cops, sometimes rightly so, if you could sit out there and criticize a cop for what they might do, then you can damn well criticize the director, the writer, and everyone involved in Madam Web. Don't give me this bullshit, okay? Now, if you want to sit there and say that it is a craft and that it's technically difficult and hard in that aspect, absolutely, man. You're right. Not everyone can go out there and act. Not everyone can go out there and write a script. Clearly, they couldn't in this movie. Not everyone can direct, but it takes talent to do so. But in the context that you're saying it right now, it's not hard. You're not out there working in the mines, okay? Holy shit. This dude makes it seem like they're out there going in coal mines. I've been in I've seen a coal mine, dude. It's not anywhere near this. So you are clearly a part of the problem with this attitude that you've taken. And what it screams of is somebody who's being a shill. Okay? That's what it screams of to me.
I do not.
Oh, hold on. I want to bring it back so y'all can see it. So sorry, but that infuriates me. I hate hearing this entitlement. Oh, it's so hard. It's so hard for me to make a movie. You got to be kidding me, dude. I know people I've seen. Thank God I haven't moved out there. I'm watching farmers deal with crops and cattle and whatnot. That's hard work, dude. Not fucking sitting there and writing a script and then directing it and then acting it out. Shut up, dude. Oh, whew, sorry.
Not know how hard it is to make a movie under the studio system. I was able to make an indie
I'm gonna
film
make it a little louder.
with a giant corporation breathing down my neck, which is not the privilege that S.J. Clarkson had when she directed Madam Web under Sony, which I can only imagine was monumentally difficult.
Now, he's going to start talking about how he starts trying to shift the blame on this movie, on this disaster of a film to other people, okay? He'll blame everybody under the sun, but he won't blame the writers, he won't blame the actors, he won't blame the scriptwriter. He'll blame the studio. That's the only thing that he will blame, right? And I want to, as he's doing this, shift the blame, I want to bring up a tweet that Angry Joe put out. If you don't know who Angry Joe is, maybe you're not, if you're not in the gaming sphere, then maybe you may not know. But Angry Joe is a dude who primarily created, he used to create video game reviews, and he's been on the platform forever, right? And I don't agree with everything that Joe says. I think a lot of his political takes are idiotic at best. And some of his film and TV show reviews are really fucking bad, right? I don't agree with what he says, but at least he's giving his honest opinion, right? So you can respect him for that. But when it comes to games, man, I love the work that he does. And I'd love to meet the guy, have a beer with him, because I feel like deep down the thing with Joe is that he's not a deceitful little shit like this guy, okay? But I want you to see what Joe said. And I want to bring this up. Joe goes, this is a tweet that he put out back this was not 23 hours ago. This has been a few days ago. But he put, Chris, I hate to say this, man. After being a follower and subscriber of yours for as long as I can remember, you should never feel bad about or straight out refuse to criticize something harshly when that piece of media deserves it. The second that you do, you are no longer a reviewer. And he is absolutely right. You cannot call yourself a critic and then refuse to criticize something, okay? Back to what Joe says. And that's not bashing Madam Web. That's telling it like it is, and you need to continue to do that to maintain credibility. People will question if you are being kind to something else for other reasons besides the merits of the media if you refuse to criticize harshly when warranted. And that's the thing. And Joe is very, very right. This guy is, Chris Stuckmann is a person who's working in Hollywood. What does this make it look like? It makes it look like I said, that you sold your soul like a shill, and you refuse to badmouth your peers and your coworkers because you want to stay in that industry. How is anyone supposed to take you seriously, dude? Back to what Joe is saying. Madam Web is a bait and switch. It's a waste of money. It's a blatant cash in from untalented hacks with some of the most shockingly bad writing in any superhero film to date. People need to know that. And I agree, right? And the only thing I would disagree with Joe is that, like, this isn't a superhero film. Not to say, I get what Joe is saying. He's right in the fact that they tried to portray this like a superhero film, but this is about as far from a fucking superhero film as there is. And I may not have seen this out in the theaters, but I've seen enough of it out there and read enough and like I said, seen enough. And I will not say how I've seen, but I've seen enough to know that this is not good. This is not a film. This is not a superhero film. This is bad. And you could see that just from the fucking trailer, which I put a video of on the trailer. When that trailer first came out, I'm like, what the fuck is this garbage, right? But you know, it's just you owe it to people, you owe it to your viewers to criticize something when it's warranted. Okay? Like that's the thing that I do. And let me just finish with what Joe says before I go a little bit more. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me just, before I continue finishing that thought, let's just finish what Joe says. I feel that because you are a filmmaker, oops, sorry, hold on. I feel that because you are a filmmaker, you act as if you can't do certain things anymore or can't now do your job as effectively anymore, which shouldn't at all be the case. You can do both still, Chris. Who are you worried about offending so much? This video was so much soft trending when it is not warranted. You talked about everything else but this steaming pile of crap. When we want to know what you thought of it, that's why we click. That's why we watch your videos. I agree. Dude's nailing it, right? And that's the thing. It's like, that's why it's such a conflict of interest for this guy to call himself a filmmaker and then to then say, I'm a film critic as well. But by the way, I'm only a film critic for good things. I only critique good things. What the fuck are you critiquing then? If it's good, what are you critiquing? And then Joe says, never forget that for every shitty writer continuing to do movies like these, there are thousands of other writers and directors like yourself who are trying to make ends meet who are far more talented getting passed over. And that's where I'll disagree on that, right? I disagree on the fact that there are thousands of other writers who are trying to make ends meet. I get what he's saying because there's the struggling actor thing. But I think that the ratio is there's thousands of shitty writers and then there's tens of thousands of other writers and directors out there because Hollywood is filled with such garbage nowadays. And so some may not know, I was in a theater troupe when I was younger, and I had an opportunity when I was graduating high school to leave to attend Juilliard. The directors of the troupe were going to recommend me to attend Juilliard, which is a music and acting school. And I appreciated that. It really meant a lot to me because I had seen one of the people who was in the theater troupe. Her name is Zoe Saldana. Some of you may know who that is, but I acted with Zoe, and look at where she's gone off to and made her success. And I remember thinking to myself as a young kid, as a teenager, being like, man, that'd be cool, because Zoe at that time was starting to make movies. She was in Center Stage. And I was like, shit, man, like maybe I could fucking do that. And then I thought that quickly died because even as a kid, I was like, you know what? I know enough about the whole struggling actors and struggling writers and struggling all that in Hollywood. I don't want that. Thank you, though. I appreciate that because it's a field that's very difficult to get into. And I'm going to touch more on that too as we go forward because he makes it seem like someone forced, like it's almost like you're forced to get into this role. Dude, you have to understand that's part of being an adult, right? You want to be a writer, you want to be an artist, you want to be a director, you want to be a whatever the fuck you went to school for, that you need to realize that some of these things are you're not going to make it you're not going to make it in those fields. That's what's happening with a lot of these fucking idiots nowadays. They go in for these useless degrees and then wonder why the fuck am I not getting anything? Because you went for a fucking useless degree. Same thing with these writers. You're a shitty writer. Maybe somebody should have told you from the get-go, hey, you're not a good writer. I've had friends who want to be artists, okay? And I'm sorry, this is getting into like a little bit of a side rant, but I've had friends who they want to be, they wanted to be manga artists because I've been to a lot of fucking anime cons. That's where I met a lot of my friends, where I met my wife, all this stuff, and at conventions. And I remember for every one of my friends and the many others who are out there trying to make manga and, all this other stuff in art, dude, they would be fucking out. There would be tons of them struggling, not making shit. And then there would be maybe one that breaks through, right? That's what the starving artist meme is. It's not a fucking meme. It's what the fucking starving artist trope is about. It's hard to break into the arts. Specifically the arts. It's hard to break into a lot of things nowadays, but breaking it into the arts? Come on, man. Like, anyway, back to Joe. I'm sorry. Oh, you owe it to your audience to review something. Oh, I'm sorry. And the reason I was talking about that rant, and I'm sorry. The reason I was talking about that rant and to get back into it is, and if maybe some of my friends had told, if somebody had gone to them and be like, hey man, maybe this isn't for you, right? Maybe this is not the field for you. then maybe they would have fucking found something else to do with their lives. And I was never approached by any of those friends of mine that, you know, like, hey, what do you think? Should I pursue this? Because I would have had to sit down with them like, hey, man, look, I wanted to be a fucking astronaut when I was a kid. I wanted to be an astronaut, but I got a fucking asthma. I can't be an astronaut with asthma. I wanted to be a pirate when I was a kid, but I don't know how to fucking swim. So I got to fucking realize that sometimes your dreams are not, you're not going to live your dreams, okay? And I think that that's part of what's happening is that we have a lot of people who shy away from criticizing others and then wonder why we continue to get these garbage flops in the sort. Anyway, Joe goes back to saying, you owe it to your audience to review something harshly when it deserves it. Absolutely. And not tiptoe around it or sidestep it. And just because you bash a film doesn't mean you're bashing the person or people who made it. Sometimes it's warranted, so all those involved can do better or step out of the way so that others can take their place. Don't be afraid to say what needs to be said, Chris. We need to be Stuckmannized. And he's right, because this is the thing. You've got a lot of people out there that shouldn't be working on making movies. They shouldn't be working on creating shows. You've got the fucking idiots from Rings of Power. Okay, look, listen to me. Hold on. Listen. I don't give a fuck how mean it sounds. There are people who should never fucking write a show or anything in their lives because they clearly do not have the fucking talent for it. That's just the truth, okay? The guys from Rings of Power, terrible. J.J. Abrams, awful. Rian Johnson, fucking terrible, okay? That's too bad. If that's what if the harshness of it is that, hey, man, you shouldn't have to fucking do this, and they don't get a job again doing that, then that's just how it is. If I try to be a fucking mechanic, okay, and I am fucking up every car that comes into the garage, but it's my dream. I want to be a mechanic. And someone's like, dude, you are destroying every car that comes in here. Get the hell out. That's just how it is. That's the truth of it. And I want to boil it down because there are some idiots out there who will truly will not seem to grasp that. And I'm looking at a tweet right here, right? On the side right here from Andy Signor. Why is everyone telling him what to do? He made it clear he doesn't want to review movies like he used to. All this criticism is from folks disappointed that he no longer is who he used to be. It doesn't matter if he was like, oh, I'm not that guy anymore. Then don't fucking call yourself a fucking film critic, or at least somehow make it very, very clear that you are a fucking shill, okay? Because there are fucking YouTubers who will sit there and gobble up and consume everything from the MCU, and it's because they're fucking shills, right? Make it clear. Just come out and say, listen, I suck Disney dick, and they pay me, and it's like those super fans from Rings of Power that they had. Those guys were terrible. They were never fucking Tolkien fans, but they somehow lied. They lied. They tried to lie and tried to influence people to somehow buy into the bullshit that was Rings of Power. Fuck that, Andy. No, people deserve the fucking truth. They deserve the goddamn fucking truth. And that just drives me wild. This like mentality of like, oh, you could keep lying to your fucking fans. You could keep lying to your fucking people. Like, fuck you, man. Sorry, I'm going to put back the video. So we're going to go back to his video now. And it's very odd that he wears this Spider-Man shirt, right? And anybody who knows this dude, is this, hold on, because I want to make it a little bigger for you. Is this like a Ranma 1/2 thing right here? What is this? What are these videos? Somebody, if you know this dude well enough, is this Ranma 1/2? Because these look like Ranma 1/2 VHS tapes. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked on that. He's wearing this Spider-Man shirt, right? Black symbiote Spider-Man, black suit Spider-Man from a very famous comic book cover. And I have a extreme fondness for Spider-Man. He's going to talk about the Spider-Verse in this video. and I'm gonna touch on something, and I have a book here that I want to show y'all. Okay, but let's keep watching the video a little bit.
This is not going to be a video about Madam Web and telling you whether or not you should see Madam Web. There are plenty of people on this platform, as well as a website dedicated to aggregating reviews and giving it a number that's going to inform you of that, and you can choose to listen to those voices if you want. The information is out there. What I am compelled to make a video about.
Yes, there are going to be plenty of people who will be talking about that, but then at the very least, and don't fucking put the Madam Web thing on your thumbnail, because that's what you are. Originally, you were a film critic, so when you put the Madam Web thumbnail, people are going to assume that you are creating a, they're going to say that they're going to act, I'm sorry, when you put that Madam Web thumbnail on your video, the viewers who made you those 2 million subscribers that made you into where you are now, they're going to assume, and rightly so, that you're going to be critiquing the film. Like, I don't understand where the disconnect comes from. But he starts talking about the Writers Guild of America.
Writer, some directors, and most.
And I don't give a fuck about the Writers Guild. I don't give a damn about these Writers Guild. I don't give a shit about the actors. I don't give a fuck about Hollywood. I have especially strong dislike for the Writers Guild, because I remember when these assholes who produce garbage, these jackoffs who produced a lot of trash like She-Hulk and the sort, and have been insulting and shitting on the fans, and then they wonder why their product is not well received. One, because you're writing garbage. Two, because you're attacking the fans. But then these guys were telling cosplayers and YouTubers and everybody, they were like, hey, don't cosplay struck content. Hey, YouTuber, don't make reviews on struck content. And these fools were doing it. Why? Because much like Chris, they sold their souls to try to get into that. They were trying to get into those pearly gates of Hollywood. And it's not like I have any love for the studios. Fuck the studios too, right? Because they're the ones who are bankrolling all this. But my point is that it's like, dude, I don't expect sympathy from the Writers Guild, because nobody gave a shit about those strikes.
Actors bashing last year, and that is movie studios. But before we go any further, I do want to give a special.
I'm gonna skip the ad. Even though this is a very important ad, I don't know BetterHelp. I don't fucking follow BetterHelp or any of this jazz. I don't do sponsorships. But my point being is, but I do want to say, if you need help in life, go seek it however you need to. Okay. But we're gonna skip the video. I will put the link right here. His link. BetterHelp, and I apologize. Hold on. Can I do a full screen? I can't do a full screen without fucking stuff up. But he does do a BetterHelp.com, Chris Stuckmann. I'm not gonna, just take away from his product or anything like that. I want to make sure that that's there. Let me see if I can minimize this a little bit. Y'all can see that. There we go. There. Because again, I don't like to steal from people. I want to make sure I don't take from them. Okay. So anyway, let's get back to this.
BetterHelp.com/offyourfirstmonth.com/web. This movie was put out by Sony in association with Marvel, probably not to the level of association that Tom Holland's 3 Spider-Man movies were. This video is inspired by essentially every live action film that Sony has had some involvement in since Spider-Man 3.
Okay. We're going to pause here because I want to talk about something, and I'm going to skip ahead because he starts talking about Craven, how that's coming out, and how these movies are not tied to the Tobey Maguire series, right? This is where I don't give any sympathy to the studio, okay? Because the studios are without a doubt creating, and he touches on this too, they are creating lifeless products, right? They're creating content that there is no soul behind them. They're just like, fuck it, we need to keep the Spider-Man license. And look, I'd rather see Sony make 1,000 Madam Webs. I'd rather see Sony make 1,000,000 Madam Webs and Cravens and shitty Venom movies than see Spider-Man fully slip back into Disney's hands, okay? Fuck Disney. But that's what he's talking about. He's talking about how they're creating the Spider-Verse that doesn't have Spider-Man, which is, again, so fucking stupid. Because Sony has locked itself into this deal with Disney, and nobody knows the real fucking extent to it. They're like renting Spider-Man to Disney, but then they can't use Disney. They can't use Spider-Man. It's almost like they have to be like, hey, okay, we'll let you borrow Spider-Man, but then we're going to make a move for one of your movies, but then we want to make a movie then you got to let us borrow, you have to let us borrow Iron Man. Okay, now we're going to let you borrow. It's going to be like, okay, they go, all right, we're going to let you borrow Spider-Man for Civil War. That's going to be a Marvel Studios movie, right? We're going to let you borrow him. But then you got to you got to let us borrow Iron Man for our, Far From Home, or not Far From Home. What the fuck was the first one that had the Vulture? I can't remember the title of it, okay? So then they say that. Then they go, okay, we're going to let you borrow Spider-Man for Infinity War and for this other movie, but you got to let us borrow Tony Stark again for, Far From Home. You got to let us borrow him from that. And then they're like, okay, we'll let you borrow him for this, but then you got to let us borrow Doctor Strange for No Way Home, which was fucking great. So they're in this weird fucking situation where instead of doing all that, fucking Sony should just be like, hey man, we're just going to make our own goddamn fucking Spider-Man movies, okay? Look, I like Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I do. I like Tom Holland as Spider-Man. By the way, this is the only MJ that there is, okay? Just telling you that right now. This is the only MJ that exists. The only real MJ. And they've got this fucking thing where it's like, why would you not create a Spider-Verse of your own? I didn't like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. I thought he was okay as Spider-Man, as the facet of that character, that side of the character. But I thought he was a terrible Peter Parker. And the second movie was fucking terrible. But Tobey Maguire was the best Peter Parker there's ever been. And he was fun as Spider-Man, but he wasn't. But Tom Holland is a good mix of the two. He hits both sides well. Even though for me, I've always felt that the first two Spider-Man films, he never really hit that stride of Peter Parker until he faced tragedy in the third one, okay? But anyway, let's go back to the film a little bit. And then I want to touch on a book that I have here.
Now, nor do Andrew Garfield's movies, but this is not about that. This is about how Sony treats their characters and their properties, and more importantly, how they treat their filmmakers. And what exactly is going on? Because I have so many questions.
I'm skipping it a little bit faster, right?
There's, of course, division from people about whether or not all of them are bad or good, and some people like more than others. There's,
okay, look, let me briefly in the middle of this talk about what Spider-Man means to me, right? Because Venom's coming up, and Venom is one of my favorite Spider-Man characters. Okay. Oh, sorry. Let me get comfortable. Okay, I have a book here. Some of you may not know what the fuck a look and find are, because some of you are goddamn fucking young, you bastards. Well, I'm fucking old. But shortly after they stopped chiseling stone and whatnot, they used to make these look and find books, right? And they had like, Where's Waldo? I don't even fucking think people know who the fuck Waldo is anymore. But it used to be one of those where you used to sit in a place called the library. You would get a fucking book and you would sit down and you would read. You would fucking read and you would look through pages. There's these things called pages. They're made from bark. And I remember this. My parents bought me this when I was a kid. My parents would, thank God for them, man, because they would always strive to do everything they could to truly always support any passion that I had, whether that was anime, if that meant sitting down and watching anime with me, if that meant chipping in and saving what money they could to get me a video game or buy me comics or the booster packs for the cards and whatnot, because they tried their best. So anyway, and even as a kid, Spider-Man meant so much to me. Spider-Man has always been my favorite superhero, the character I identified the most with as a geek. And it's not like I'm white. I don't need a character to look like me to represent me. That's the point of empathy, you fucking freaks. But Spider-Man, I always loved him, man. I love Peter. I loved the dichotomy between the two. I loved Spider-Man. He used to make me fucking laugh so much. And I kept this. I lost a lot of stuff in my moves and sold things. I have some things still saved up, but this for me, honestly, is one of the things that I cherish the most. That's why I have this. This thing came out 1992. Okay. And it was a looking fine. And you would look how fucking good this goddamn book is in condition, except for this goddamn part. Okay. Leave me the fuck alone. I was a kid. But like I kept this thing in such good condition. Right. And this was like a looking fine where you would have to look through and find Spider-Man and they would give you like little things like you got to find it, you got to find him. And he was ugly. He was in fucking Coney Island. This was the Daily Bugle, and he was in Coney Island over here. And this is old Coney Island, right? Because you see these people about to die. That's how the cyclone was, man. That's how the cyclone was, and that's how the Ferris wheel was. You went on those fucking rides, you took your life on the risk. This was the little log flume ride that they showed in the old Coney Island commercials. Remember Coney Island and how it used to be. Anyway, like this was just, and I kept this fucking book in goddamn good condition, right? The only thing I made as an adult, I got angry at my past self was as a kid. I drew on the fucking thing right there. You see there's, you can't see it very well, but there's a circle around this bomb, right? Look at Thor. Look at Thor right here. Look at Iron Man. Look at all these old ass fucking characters, right? Back in the old day, in the old artwork. But I drew on some of this fucking thing, and I got mad at myself as an adult. I was like, God damn it, young Jose, why the fuck did you do that? Anyway, I say this because I had a lot of dark times in my life, and Spider-Man brought me out of those rough times. Many things did. Manga did, Dungeons and Dragons did, but as a character within any fiction or any pop culture, it was Spider-Man that helped shape me and really get me out of those times, okay? And the pure love that he shared with Mary Jane, and it just was, he inspired you, he gave you hope, right? And to see the fact that, yes, a soulless studio like Sony is now putting out Spider-Verse movies without the central fucking character that is Spider-Man in them is infuriating, okay? So, and what Venom is, dude, when Venom came out, like, I don't think people understand. There are some people out there, again, who've never read a comic book in their life. They're just, you know, they started watching the MCU and they think that they're comic book experts. But when it comes to Spider-Man, like, dude, Venom is such an impactful character in the Spider-Man mythos, okay? Whether it be an animated series, whether it be in the comics, whenever Venom was around, it's impactful. That's why the buildup in the animated series was so big. Even the Sensational Spider-Man one, anytime Venom showed up, it was like, oh shit. And you know who also had a big impact was Carnage. Carnage, my favorite story arc of any fucking comic book, hands on. Obviously, it's going to be my favorite Spider-Man story arc, but of any comic book arc is the Maximum Carnage storyline. Dude, that arc was amazing. They had characters showing up like Deathlock and fucking Iron Fist, and goddamn fucking Morbius showed up. It was Morbin time before he even morbed up. You had Captain America show up. It was cool, man. It was so fucking cool. And I like that. Those characters are so fucking beloved for me. Yeah, Firestar at one point, I was like, yo, she about to put the beat down on fucking Carnage. If you have never read the Maximum Carnage comic books and you are a big Spider-Man fan, man, I cannot recommend them enough. Anyway, but Carnage and Venom are two of my biggest fucking Spider-Man, rogues gallery characters, even though obviously Venom became an anti-hero later on. But to see what they've done to them by Sony fucking blows. Yes, it sucks. But the problem, Chris, is that you're trying to put this blame solely on the studios. It is not the solely studios' fault. There is plenty of blame to go around. That goes for the writers, that goes for the directors, that goes for the actors, that goes for the fucking people who make the costumes. It goes around, dude. And you trying to shield your peers while criticizing the studios just makes you look like a fucking shill, man. It makes you look like a coward. I'm sorry, man. I'm so annoyed. We're gonna listen to this guy. I'm gonna take a drink.
Plenty of people who like the first Venom movie, but I think there are more people who are a little disappointed by it, and especially
a little disappointed, dude. Even everything he fucking says is sugarcoating. Fuck those Venom movies, man. There is no Venom without Spider-Man. And do you know how lazy those writers are? That they could have included Spider-Man. And I severely doubt that the studios, that Sony was not thinking, hey man, try to find a way that you can link Spider-Man in here because, you know, we own the rights to him, right? You could have easily said, look, this is fucking simple, right? This is writing 101. You don't need a ton of fucking shit to link stuff together, okay? A simple fucking line alone of dialogue is enough to tie stuff together. You don't need exposition upon exposition dump. If in the first Venom movie, if they had gone and said that scientist had said, "Hey, I'm creating the symbiotes, or the, you know, I'm creating the symbiotes, and I'm gonna make them together, and we've been experimenting. You know, yeah, they came from space, but we've been experimenting with different figures here in this world. You know, there's that green guy." You could have just said it like that, right? You didn't have to fucking name him. You could say, "There's that green guy. We tested with his blood to see how it would interact with the symbiotes. You know, we tested with another person, and you know, even that guy who the newspaper has a hard on for." Just like that. You could have said, "You know, that guy that J. Jonah Jameson guy hates. We even have, you know, a symbiote that worked off of his blood." And that could have been the fucking Venom's symbiote right there. That could have been his fucking symbiote. That's it. That's all you needed to fucking tie Spider-Man together. Obviously, it is nothing even close to the dramatic emotional weight of the comic book. It is not even fucking close. Having Eddie Brock and Venom, who both hate Spider-Man, who both hate Peter Parker and Spider-Man, and they form Venom from that hatred to the point where, you know, because the symbiote is drawn to Eddie, who is at the lowest point in his life, contemplating suicide as a Catholic, thinking to himself, "This is the worst sin I can commit, and I'm about to commit it all because I hate Peter Parker." Dude, I can't tell you how they have messed that up. They messed that up so badly. And I wish I could Venom, Spider-Man. Let me see if I can find this real quick, because I want you to understand how important that is. That and this is, look, for all of the fucking faults, for all the fault that the third Spider-Man movie has, okay? And it has some good things. It has some good things. For all the faults that they have, they got this fucking scene right. This is only 50 seconds. I know I'm going a little bit of a side thing, but I need you to, I know I'm going a little bit of a side thing, but I need you to kind of get why I get so mad with the way they treat Peter Parker and Spider-Man, and the fact that they've created the Spider-Verse without including him, and that's not just the studios, Chris. That's a lot of fucking people behind that. I'm gonna, oh my God, is that a little loud? I don't want to go too deep. So anyway, you know, Eddie's in church. He's a Catholic. He goes to church. He's just been exposed as a fraud. In the comics, it's a different thing. It's a serial killer. That grief right there, right? And like I said, it's a different thing in the comics, the grief that he's, you know, contemplating suicide. He's at his lowest, but that showing that he has that emotional tie to Peter Parker, to Spider-Man in the comics, that's what creates Venom, that hatred that they have for him. And yes, they don't get that right in the films. And then people wonder why I don't watch the Spider-Verse movies, why I refuse to play Spider-Man 2, why I haven't bought a fucking Spider-Man comic in years, because fuck One More Day.
Especially the Let There Be Carnage sequel. But plenty of people enjoy Spider-Man 3 well enough. I'm one of them. There's a lot of things in Spider-Man 3 that I have fun with, although it's clearly not as good as 1 or 2.
And he's right. And look, there's things in 3 that I enjoyed. I enjoyed Sandman. I really liked Sandman. I thought, you know, I love emo Spider-Man. I love the fucking Green Goblin scenes with him and Harry. I'm gonna throw some dirt in your eyes. You know, I love that stuff. But Spider-Man 2 is not my favorite. It's not my favorite superhero film. It's not. That's Logan. I love fucking Logan. But Spider-Man 2 is probably my favorite fucking Spider-Man, my favorite superhero, second favorite superhero film of all time, because it is pinnacle fucking writing. That's why people lost their minds in Far From Home or No Way Home when fucking Doc Ock shows up, and when Doc Ock redeems himself from the second movie, that redemption is continued. That continuity, people fucking loved it, dude.
And there are people who enjoyed The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 quite a bit. But
I just hit my microphone. I apologize.
If you look at a consensus, the consensus is that the live-action, Sony-based Spider-Man universe movies have not exactly all been home runs.
And every time he talks, right? Every time he talks in this thing, he is fucking sugarcoating and pussyfooting around it. Like, dude, fucking man the fuck up. Talk. Say what you mean. Stop dancing around it like you're afraid to offend somebody. What the fuck?
I haven't mentioned the animated.
I don't care about the fucking Miles Morales fucking shit. Miles Morales is fucking garbage. So is Gwen Stacy. Like, you know,
the way I view the two Spider-Verse movies,
Gwen Stacy and fucking Miles Morales have been two of the worst things that have ever happened in the Spider-Man universes. Okay, one because of how insulting it is for how insulting it is for any Latino who sits there and gets the sloppy seconds of fucking Miles Morales instead of these companies creating original, unique characters that just so happen to be Puerto Rican. Instead, they're thinking, oh, we want to check off a check. Let's check off that box right there. Hey, tokenize this guy and we'll get that. That's you know, it's the idiots on the internet who don't understand how, because they're not, you know, they're just fucking sheeps. They don't get how insulting that actually is, right? Like, they don't get it when these studios and these companies sit there and they're like, you're not worth us creating an original character and taking the effort to do that. So instead, here you go. We're just going to give you some lazy color palette swap version of this character. And, oh yeah, you know what? We'll do the same with Gwen Stacy. Turn him into a girl. It's like the Pander Stone magnified. Dude, if they had taken Gwen Stacy, right? If they had taken Gwen Stacy and instead of just making her yet another generic spider person, because the entire concept of the Spider-Verse is stupid, if they had fucking brought her back from the grave and given her her own unique abilities, that would have been fucking dope. But once again, they couldn't fucking do that. They couldn't even do that.
Is kind of the same way I view The Invisible Man and Split and Get Out and other films that Blumhouse has produced.
I'm going to
Because
speed
Blumhouse
forward.
has produced a lot of other movies as well. But those three really do seem like, damn, where'd those come from? Some studios have really good instincts, and they can pick filmmakers and stories across the board that for the most part are going to be at least decent. I look at a studio like A24. Pretty much most of their movies.
And again, he's just talking about the things, and we're not gonna sit here and watch this whole fucking. I mean, we're gonna watch the whole thing because again, he's put the effort to create this video. As much as I disagree with what he's saying and how much I think of as him as being a chicken shit, what he's saying and how disrespectful it is to his viewers, that call himself a critic, how much I think of a shill he is. He still made this video, and I'm going to go through the whole thing, right? But he's just talking about studios, and I don't give I don't give a fuck about that.
It's not going to be terrible. That it's at least going to be decent, and maybe even really good. And I don't feel that way with every single studio. It's like a flip of a coin. You could get one of their best efforts, or you could get another one. And I do think it comes down to the filmmaker they're working with, and whether or not they back off and give that filmmaker the freedom they need to tell a coherent.
And because this is where we're going to get back to it. Again, this video is him trying to deflect as much as he can from the director, from the writer, from all the people, and he just wants to say that everything that went wrong with this film can only be because of the studio. It can only be because it's Sony. No, dude. No. If they didn't have the ability to fucking handle this, then don't take the fucking work, man.
Coherent story. It doesn't mean that every writer is going to be great. Two of the writers of Madam Web worked on another film in the Sony universe that has been heavily criticized called Morbius. But sometimes what I've learned and what I've experienced myself, not on my film, but on scripts that I've optioned to some studios, and it went nowhere, is that when people have power over you as a creative, when they're paying your bills and they're paying you well, they can tell you to do anything, and you have to do it. No matter what.
Yeah, that's what being an adult is, man. Dude,
It's like that scene in Vampire's Kiss where Nicolas Cage is threatening to fire his secretary, and he says,
Yeah, like, look, man, like the fucking Nicolas Cage face coming up. Yeah, that's what being an adult is. And like I get it because there's a grief of sometimes you're dealing with having to answer to a person, to a boss who maybe just doesn't give a shit about how you get those results in, right? They might even have unrealistic expectations. They might fucking tell you like, "Hey man, like, I want this shit done. I want it done by next week." And you're like, "Dude, I can't. That's not fucking physically possible." But you know what? You gotta do what you can, because that's what being an adult fucking is. You know how many fucking times I've had reports that I had to do, and my bosses were like, "Hey, Jose, can we get that report? Hey, can you get it to me by like 2 weeks from now?" And I'm like, no, I can't get that shit for you from 2 weeks from now. Not with what the parameters that you fucking want. And they're like, "Well, I got to present it to someone higher up than me. So yeah, can you get it to me in 2 weeks?" You're like, "Dude, you've never been in my fucking job, in my feet. How the fuck are you going to tell me to do this?" But you know what I've had to do? I've had to fucking put on my big boy pants. And if you got to put on your big boy pants, your big girl pants, whatever fucking pants you want to put, and you fucking do it, because that's your job. Okay? That's your fucking job. And you do your goddamn best to fucking do it.
"You're the lowest on the totem pole here, Alva."
I don't care about this fucking flip.
Do you realize?
I just want to see the face.
That's right, Alva.
Look at that face right there.
It's a horrible, horrible job. I couldn't think of a more horrible job if I wanted to. And you have to do it. You have to, or I'll fire you. Do you understand?
sometimes that's exactly what it feels like when you're a creative dealing with a larger entity that has control over your creation, or at least your script or your story or your characters. When they can tell you what to do and you got to do it, it doesn't matter if you think it's insane. You have to find a way to make it work.
Again, and here's the thing. And this is where I get even less sympathy, right? And let me say, this is where where I can get even, like, it's a little bit meaner to say, but this is the field you chose to be in. You wanted to be a writer, right? Then you know that you're going to have to deal with fucking studio heads that have never probably fucking done or written a script in their fucking lives, and they're probably fucking idiots. But guess what? That's what you fucking sign up for. Sign up to be a director. Sign up to be an actor. That's the name of the game, man.
Now, I'm not saying that's what happened on Madam Web and Morbius and all these movies, but I would not be surprised, because when I look at Sony's involvement with the Spider-Verse films, I see Lord and Miller that have had massive success on the big screen in the past, that
I hate this fucking guy's suit. I'm sorry.
have made a lot of money for a lot of people and have proven themselves to be very smart at what they do. And I can totally see a company like Sony saying, "Why don't you guys give us your best shot and then we'll give you some notes." Now, for a filmmaker like S.J. Clarkson, who made Madam Web, she's had a long and respectable career directing television, but she's directing her first movie, and it's a Sony superhero movie. When I saw Madam Web earlier today, there wasn't a single part of me that thought,
I gotta
"Wow,
skip through
this
it
is just a
fast."
terrible filmmaker." I could not help but see.
Okay, right here. Hold on.
This is just, when I saw Madam Web earlier today, there wasn't a single part of me that thought, "Wow, this is just a terrible filmmaker." I couldn't.
Wait a minute. Wait. I gotta rewind this so many fucking times. I'm sorry, because this is so important right here, right?
When I saw Madam Web earlier today, there wasn't a single part of me that thought, "Wow, this is just a terrible filmmaker."
There wasn't a single part of you, dude. Not a single part of you thought that there was that, that there was she was a terrible filmmaker. Not a single part of you. Not a single part of you thought, "Man, these are some bad writers." No, not a single part.
I could not help but see the myriad of evidence that has been laid at all of our feet that this is a studio that is simply retaining the rights to their characters, that does not care about the quality of this experience they're giving us.
So once again, but Chris, who is the person who's creating the script? Who's the person who's writing the script? Who's the person that's sitting there directing it? Who's the person who's acting? Is it the studio or are these individuals? Because again, if the studio's like, "Hey man, here's $100 million, make for me here's $100 million, make some shit," okay? Or however much this, okay. So from what I've read, from what I've heard, right? And I want to make sure I get this. I want to make sure I get this correctly, okay? I have heard that Madam Web's budget was bigger than was originally thought. And this is coming from CBR, and CBR has its fucking things, but CBR is saying that while the budget for the Dakota Johnson starring film, let's over here, we'll bring it over here, and we'll take a look at this, because I've heard a rumor, and I just want to make sure that I at least kind of source out that Sony's Pictures Madam Web reportedly cost a lot more than $80 million to make. While the budget for the Dakota Johnson starring Marvel movie was previously reported to be in the vicinity of $80 million, the Hollywood Reporter recently revealed that the budget for the latest entry in the Sony Spider-Man universe was, again, Spider-Man universe, a universe that doesn't have Spider-Man in it, right? Was actually in the low $100 million range, according to several sources. While not as expensive as most Marvel Studios, which typically costs $200 million. And this is part of the thing. This isn't a fucking, this, the higher the budget will still hurt, the higher budget will still, Jesus, I'm struggling here, will still hurt Madam Web in the long run, as the movie has so far been unsuccessful at the box office. So far, it's, buddy, it's going to be unsuccessful. Despite a strong marketing campaign from Sony, and this is what I've heard. I don't know if they mentioned this here. Let me just skim through real quick. I don't think they do. No. I've heard somewhere that, I've heard from a few sources, I should say, that the marketing for this movie was more than the cost of this film. Okay? Again, even if that movie was $250 million to make, right? Let me bring ye old calculator over here. Okay? Oh no, my calculator. Even if it's that, right? So let's say it's like 250 total, okay? Because we're gonna say let's give Madam Web's budget the benefit of the doubt. Let's give Madam Web's budget the benefit of the doubt. Let's say it's 100 million to make it, right? 100 million to make it and 150 to market it. So like 250, right? So we got 250. This movie had to make 500 million to break even. It has made, as of today, $54 fucking million, guys. Do you know what that means? That means this movie so far has made $25 million back for the studio. They are going to be on the hook for over $200 million fucking dollars probably with this film. Because even if this fucking movie makes, let's say it crosses the 100 million mark, which it's doubtful that it will, because next fucking week or the week after, whatever, comes out Dune 2, comes out other films. Other theaters are going to kick this fucking movie out. They're not going to be like, dude, we're wasting fucking slots with this. Let's put something else. If this movie made $100 million, I would be surprised. I genuinely think that it'll make like 75 million, maybe 80 million. But let's say that it made 100 million. If this movie made $100 million total, again, the studio's only going to get half of that. That's 50 million. They're still on the fucking hook for $200 million. $200 million. And this is where Chris says this. And I'm like, dude, Chris, do you truly think that the studio is out here to lose money? Like, they're not going to be like, hey, give us garbage. Go ahead and, we don't want you to put your full effort into it. We just want to keep the licensing rights. No, man. They want these fucking things to succeed too. They want it to succeed. So, it's like the same thing with like fucking Black Panther 2. Black Panther 2, after the astronomical marketing and the high budget that it cost, that movie made like $50-70 million, if that. And they tried to spin it like that's a huge success. Dude, $50 fucking million is a fucking travesty. Yes, it's better than nothing, right? It's better than losing money. But $50 million, these big companies are not in that to make fucking peanuts like that. Oh, let's keep going because this is almost done.
Experience they're giving us. There's been too many examples of movies that all feel kind of the same, like a mishmashed early 2000s superhero movie.
Whoa. Hey, this is something I got to take offense to, okay? Who the fuck are you to say? Don't say it like that, Chris. You better put some goddamn fucking respect in your tone when you talk about early 2000s superhero films. Because you know what came out in the early 2000s? Blade 2. Yeah, I know Blade 1 came out like in 1998 or something like that. But it's still fucking, that's close enough to early 2000s, okay? Blade 2, Spider-Man 1 came out in fucking, you know, the first one with Tobey Maguire, they came out in 2002, shortly after September 11. Spider-Man 2 came out. The original X-Men films came out. Even the fucking I think the first Fantastic Four movie came out in that era, didn't it? Hold on. Fantastic Four 2005. Yeah. 2005, man. And listen, I don't like the Fantastic Four. I'm not a fan of the Fantastic Four. But at least that fucking movie tried, right? Their Doom was terrible, but the other characters were fucking good. The four characters, Susan Storm, Reed Richards, Ben Grimm, you know, the fucking Johnny Storm, they were close to their characters. Doom was a bit awful, but you know, they at least tried. It was better than nothing. It sure as fuck was better than that remake they tried to do. So calm the fuck down, Chris, with that fucking early 2000s superhero film. Like, shut the fuck up.
Can't seem to get out of that. No matter how many times we've said to the studio,
fuck, for goodness sake, I wish they would be as good as the early 2000 superhero films, because as of late, everything we've gotten in 2020, or feels like most, not I shouldn't say everything, most of what we gotten past the fucking Endgame era has fucking been garbage, dude.
we would prefer it if you went a different way, even with the excellent examples of their two Spider-Verse films. And I can't help but think, who is this for? Who wins here? Is it the audience? It seems like it isn't, guys. Is it the creatives? Definitely not. Is it the studio? Are they making a lot of money because they keep doing this over and over again? Sometimes it makes sense to make a Venom movie. It makes sense.
And that's the thing, like, yes, Venom, like, this is the problem. And Chris, this is why I say you're part of the problem, right? The Venom movie, to me, is a travesty. And I've stated the reasons why. But I cannot deny the fucking success of that first fucking movie. That first movie cost $100 million to make. It probably had, let's just keep with that 150 to make, right? This was this is 2018 when it first came out, the first Venom movie. So let's stick with 150. We'll say that, right? Just to keep it even, just average it out. It cost $250 million to make. But you know how much that fucking movie made? That movie made, and I've got it up here, $850 goddamn million. Excuse me, oh my goodness. That fucking number was so staggering, I almost fucking choked to death. $850 million. That means if you divide that by half, that's $425 million that went back to the studio. Take away $250 million to create and market this film. That's $175 million. Now we're talking. Now we're fucking talking. Okay? So I get why they created that Venom movie and why, again, I can't take away from its success. Do I think it was a fucking shitty movie? Absolutely. But that's why if I was back then criticizing movies and criticizing films and I was critiquing them, I would have fucking put on my opinion. Because I don't think that movie should have ever existed. And if I could keep one fucking person, if I could keep, this is what it all boils down to when I do this, okay? This is one of the things that makes me mad with Chris right here. People say, why are you so harsh with these movies? Why are you so harsh? Why are you so fucking mean, right? Because if I can keep one person from watching these movies, if I can watch this garbage movie, or if I watch this garbage show, and someone watches my review, and they say, shit, thank goodness you fucking watched it, and you let me know what you think. Honestly, I appreciate your sincerity. I'm not going to fucking waste my time with this. I just saved that person fucking money. I just saved that person their fucking time. And guess what? That hits the studios, that hits these people where it fucking hurts. That's why you have to say the truth. That's why you have to be honest when you critique things, because that is the only way that companies, that studios like Disney, that studios like Sony, that all these fucking people will learn and change because criticism matters, Chris. Okay? Let me give you the two biggest fucking examples that I could think of off the top of my head of why criticism matters. One of them is a video game, and one of them is a fucking movie, okay? One of them is a video game. And like I said, one is a movie. Sorry, I'm getting comfortable. Look at the fucking, let's start with the video game, okay? If you've ever played an MMO, you should know the name World of Warcraft, okay? World of Warcraft was the biggest goddamn fucking thing on earth. It was one of the biggest goddamn things on earth. And for a long time, every MMO was trying to be the WoW killer, right? Lo and behold, here comes Final Fantasy 14. Final Fantasy 14, when that game first fucking came out, that game was a goddamn disaster. That game was terrible. That's why, and it was so bad that it almost fucking bankrupted Square Enix. And what did the developers do? The developers of that game took the criticisms that were lobbied against them. And this is one thing that the Japanese do that the fucking, that here in the West we've seemed to have forgotten. They took fucking responsibility and they said, this was on us. We fucked up. They didn't sit there and attack the fans like these studios do. Okay? They didn't sit there like you, Chris, saying like people who are bashing this film as if somehow that's a problem. Okay? Or Stephen King or George Martin or any of these other idiots out there who try to act like you shouldn't criticize a fucking movie. The Japanese said, we fucked this up and we're going to fucking fix it. We're going to fix it. Guess what happened? Final Fantasy 14 went on to be a mega success. A success unheard of in the MMO market to the point where it fucking took down WoW without trying. Yes, part of it was that World of Warcraft didn't listen to the criticisms that were being given to them. So part of their demise was their own fault, and part of it was from Final Fantasy 14 Realm Reborn and their developers taking the criticisms that were given to them and changing their game and making a better product out of it. And Chris, just so you could get this through your fucking skull, right? Here's a fucking example of a movie that was criticized, and look at the fucking success that came out of it. Because I want to fucking I want to have it loaded up here. Hold on. Because there's a fucking movie that, there's a fucking movie that was the epitome of it. Here it is right here. The fucking Sonic the Hedgehog film, guy. The Sonic the Hedgehog film back in fucking when did it come out? January, right? Yeah, because it came up shortly before COVID. January 2020. That movie came out. And when they first put out the fucking design for Sonic, it was fucking terrible. Do you remember the nightmare fuel that was? Hold on a second. Because I feel like people have forgotten how bad that fucking was. Okay? I got you. Look at this fucking disaster here. Look at this horrifying image. I can't put on too many fucking pictures because God knows YouTube ain't fucking safe. I'll open it on another fucking tab, okay? Here we go. Okay. Because this was fucking terrible. Right here. You remember this? This was the original Sonic character design. This was back Sonic movies, pure nightmare fuel from Know Your Meme. This was back in 2020. They were going to, or shortly before 2020, they were going to come out with this as Sonic the Hedgehog. And then they got burnt to the ground. They were criticized to the ground. And they came up with this. They came up with a better design. And guess what, Chris? Guess what? That was a fucking success because of it. They went back and redesigned it and said, holy shit, we fucked up, guys. Okay? They even fucking on Twitter said that. Back when, people would take responsibility. On May 2nd, 2019, they said, look, Look, Chris, because you need to fucking understand why criticism is a necessity, right? Why it's so important to fucking criticize things. The visual effects are provided by this company. Production team created a live action version of Sonic using CGI. They used Ted as a reference to insert a CGI character. Blah blah blah. It would be weird, and it felt like he was running around nude if he was right here. Sonic was not entirely happy with the design of Sonic's eyes. On May 2nd, 2019, in response to the criticism, I feel like, hey, I should fucking make this big for Chris to understand. In response to the criticism, Fowler announced on Twitter that Sonic would be redesigned. Guess what? It added an extra $5 million to the budget. They took around 5 months to do it, and they achieved it without overtime. But it fucking released, because look at this. Look at this. This is terrible. And then they actually put out a good fucking Sonic movie. Not even a good Sonic movie. That fucking Sonic movie was great. I love the first one. And the second one was good. The human stuff sucks. But the first one was that movie cost what? $90 million to make. $90 million. It made over $320 million. Like, dude, criticism needs to happen. You need to criticize these things. Otherwise, you're just going to keep getting garbage.
To make a Spider-Man movie. Those are characters that are going to generate money no matter what. Morbius and Madam Web, Kraven the Hunter, remains to be seen. That is not the same level of reward that a studio might receive for producing a Spider-Man or a Venom movie. So why are they making them? Is it to retain the rights? Is it to get some kind of financial break? Potentially. And in that case, they probably don't care that much about each and every one of us who forks over our hard-earned money to sit in a theater on Valentine's Day when they could have been doing anything else.
And it's the same, dude. You are accusing the studios of the same thing you're doing, Chris. You're sitting here talking about how they don't care about wasting our times, but yet you're wasting your viewers' times with this pussyfooting shit that you're doing instead of addressing the flaws and faults of that movie so that your viewers don't go to see it. You're sitting here instead defending the creators, not the filmmakers, the directors, the writers, all of them. You're sitting there defending them when they had their own parts to play in this disaster. How fucking dare you then sit there and call the studio out for you hypocrite?
I care so much about the filmmaker experience, and I am so aware of how crushingly difficult it can be to make a film, but I also care a lot about the audience, and I want people like myself who go to these movies to have a good time.
But so you care so much about the audience, but yet you continue to not talk about the film. People want to see a film critique. That's what you are, right? You're a film critic. So why are you not talking about the movie? You can't sit there. And again, so crushingly difficult. Like, God, this fucking guy lives in a la la land acting like it's the mines of Moria. Like they're fucking dwarves and they have to deal with a fucking Balrog to fucking go mine some goddamn mithril. It ain't that serious, bro.
And to feel like they invested some of their money into something that gave something back to them, that inspired them in some way or made them just happy for a couple hours. And Sony and their treatment of these characters seems to be doing the exact opposite. Currently in the industry,
I'm going to fast forward it a little bit.
Wild West when it comes to spec scripts, especially
because he gets to this kind of stuff.
Not even being read, very rarely, in fact, unless you're a.
I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. He talks about basically like scripts. So I'll put it on double speed, okay?
Lower budget horror is still being looked at, especially haunted house things or things that are very marketable.
And if you want to watch his video, the original context, it's all gonna be there. I'm just gonna skip forward a little bit because he starts talking about the scripts and how the studios are. It's difficult now to fucking find this algorithm of Netflix.
Dystopian conveyor
this is a part that I want to touch right here.
Or whatever Netflix is telling them people want to see. This is creating an almost robotic, like dystopian conveyor belt of movies that we are essentially supposed to kneel at the very end of, open our mouth really wide and just consume.
Yes, it is. It's creating the MCU and all these fucking dopes, these MCU stands that are just consumers. And when we say that, we're making fun of you. I just want y'all to understand that. You're sitting there consuming this product. You're getting fed shit, right? And you're sitting there thinking, oh my God, this is the greatest steak I've ever tasted. No, they're spitting in your face and calling you idiots for enjoying this stuff. Thankfully, enough real fans have started to say, fuck this shit. We're not watching this anymore. We deserve better. Because yes, even you consumers deserve better than that. You may be dumb enough to think you don't, but you do. But Chris, you're being part of the problem by sitting there and not addressing it. So yes, you're helping. You're a part of that fucking conveyor machine.
And then ask, when do we get the next conveyor belt thing that you have generated for us from your algorithm robotic AI thing, whatever that is? Because when I watched Madam Web, there wasn't a single part of me that thought a writer sat down and came up with the idea of the final fight happening underneath a...
So he's going to be talking about the product placement, right? Which, yes, Sony might have been like, hey, man, make sure you include that Pepsi, right? Because Pepsi's fucking paying us, right? We need that product placement. Put it wherever you can. But we want some fucking Pepsi. Jose, get the fucking Baja Blast out here, man. We are paying you to fucking get Baja Blast. You make sure you drink fucking Baja Blast every goddamn fucking video. That's what he's saying, right? Okay, but Chris, you said there's not a single part of you.
Madam Web, there wasn't a single part of me that thought a writer sat down and came up with the idea of...
Let me stop you right there. There's not a single part of you that should think that a writer came up in any part of this and came up with any ideas, because they're all bad. You cannot blame this product placement. You're trying to deflect upon any manner you can to the studio for the incompetency of the writing of the two writers, okay? God damn it. I didn't mean to fucking close my Madam Web tab here, because the writers are here, okay? These guys, fucking Matt Sazama and Burke Sharpless, who wrote this fucking thing. Oh my God, they were hired to write an adaptation for fucking Flash Gordon. These guys fucking wrote the screenplay for Gods of Egypt, which was fucking horrible, okay? They wrote the screenplay for fucking Morbius. Where are you going to start giving the blame to them? When are you going to say, yo, dude, these guys fucking suck? No, instead, you want to say that the studio, because it fucking said, hey, put a fucking Pepsi sign up there. That alone is the only reason why this script made no fucking sense, right? Is that what you're fucking saying?
Of the final fight happening underneath a giant neon Pepsi Cola sign. I just don't think a writer sat in their apartment in LA and thought, that's a good idea.
And when do you fucking say S.J. Clarkson, who is a director who was tasked to create that Blood Moon show, the prequel show for Game of Thrones that they were going to make called Blood Moon, which they spent like $30 fucking million or some ridiculous amount, and they fucking had to cancel it. They had to cancel it. And since they had to cancel this pre-COVID, right? They had to cancel this pre-COVID. They couldn't even use COVID as a fucking excuse for that. So when are you going to sit there and blame her as well? Okay? When are you going to fucking blame her as well?
I'm pretty sure Sony said we have to incorporate Pepsi in some way and deal with it. And that's what it's like for a lot of these
again.
creative...
So there's many ways that they could have done that, but they could have said, "Hey, you need to incorporate Pepsi some way. Deal with it." Okay, that the writers could have easily. That doesn't detract from the writers could have made something interesting around that.
I just heard a story today about someone who's working with a massive entity studio, I won't say what it is, who has hired that person to write a story based off of a very interesting hook. He wrote the whole script, came back to them, and they said, you know what, we don't really like that hook anymore, but we still like your story. Can you make it work without the hook? And this poor writer...
I am so happy that you can press the hold this and press the 2 times forward. Let me tell you something, guys. I don't know tech shit for shit, right? But I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could do that until just rewatching this video.
Is trying to figure out...
Leave me alone. I'm old, all right?
How in the world They got hired to write a story based off of an idea and are now told to write the exact same story, but without the idea. And that's exactly the type of situation that so many writers find themselves in. And I would not be surprised if a lot of these Sony Spider-Man universe movies have had very similar conversations bouncing around their meetings. It's maddening, and it does good for no one. So what are my solutions for this? It's the same solution I've said for a couple years now, because I've started to make more discussion-based videos about the industry and how we can communicate with them and get better films and start to enjoy the theater-going experience more, and not just hope that a great film like Godzilla -1 comes out of Japan so that we can enjoy that here. And it's the same.
Here's the thing with Godzilla -1, right? And I went to see Godzilla -1 with the greatest Godzilla fan that there ever has been, okay? And his family, very dear friends of mine. And we went to see it together. And I looked at him and I saw -1 with him. And I've known Godzilla. I know what Godzilla is because I'm not a Godzilla. I wasn't never a big Godzilla person. I was never a big kaiju person, right? But I have been a massive anime fan since I was a kid. So obviously, when you love Japanese pop culture, you're gonna fucking hear about Godzilla, right? And I went to see it with him, and I saw this, and thanks to him, I've been watching a lot of more Godzilla films, some of these older ones. And I went to him, I was like, man, dude, what do you think? Like, I didn't want to say my opinion, right? I didn't want to dilute. I was like, what do you think? And he was like, this might be the best fucking Godzilla film outside of the OG original 1954 film. This might be the best one. And I was like, good, because that's how I felt. I was like, this is the best. This was my favorite one. And you know why? Because Japan has embraced, has not, or I should say, has never given up on the fact that you can have strong male leads. You can have strong female leads, okay? You can have a strong female lead, you can have a strong male lead, and guess what? They don't have to detract from each other. That you don't have to have one shitting on the other to make the other one look stronger, okay? Japan, that is why Japan is destroying us. And not us, fuck that. They've been destroying America. They've been destroying the West when it comes to comics, video games, fucking animation, when it comes to fucking movies now. Because fucking Godzilla was one of the fucking biggest successes of last year. Oh my God. Because they have a thing where they talk about fucking, they have criticism still in their culture. They take responsibility, Chris. That's what an adult does. You know, there's this guy right here. This is the fucking the Friday Night Crew, baby. Let me tell you, these guys fucking hilarious. But and they Disney blames you. They're right, because these studios blame us because they fucking hate you fans. They hate us. They hate the real fans. Sorry, I'm going on a different fucking rant. This guy right here, Jeremy Jans. I love Jeremy. Jeremy's fucking great. Jeremy is that fucking a Honkai ad right there? What the fuck is this happening up in here? This looks like Honkai. Anyway, Jeremy Jans. I like this guy. Okay? I may not agree with all of his reviews, but he doesn't shy away from understanding he is a critic, and he keeps being a critic.
Thing I've always said, they hear us through our wallets.
Yes, which is why they hear us through our wallets. They hear us through our time.
Great, and we happen to see it in the theater. That's fantastic. But then buy it to own on digital, or buy the Blu-ray of it. Let them know, like, this is more like it. And that's what we're getting with Oppenheimer. It's what we're getting.
But then, Chris, if, this is, again, he's talking out both sides of his mouth. You want people to not spend their money on bad movies, but you're not going to sit there and tell your millions of viewers and subscribers that, hey, guys, don't go watch this fucking movie. Don't watch this movie because this is a bad idea, because these are the flaws with this film. It boils down to that, man.
With Barbie, when you see a movie where it's like, okay, that creator, Greta Gerwig, took an IP, Barbie, and made a completely original movie out of it and became the highest grossing film of the year and it's nominated for multiple Oscars, even though she totally should have been nominated for director. They hear that. They understand, all right, so IP-ish, but original. Got it. And that's okay. Like, there's so many openings for filmmakers to take very original ideas into things. In an ideal, perfect industry, the filmmaker-studio relationship would be more of an understanding, loving relationship. But the problem right now is that so many studio executives, people who are making the decisions, did not come from a place of creativity. They were potentially managers or agents or people outside of the creative space in Hollywood who worked their way into a place.
And again, I'm skipping through a lot of this.
That's not the case for all of them, but it is the case for many of them. And they don't have ideas. They just have, like,
because
the market might.
A lot of this is just beating a dead horse, and I've repeated it over and over. where he's just talking about like, you know, a lot of these people up in the on your top, like you might have people ahead of you on top of you in terms of your work that have no idea how your actual work is done. Like I said, I had bosses who were like, hey, get me these reports. And I'm like, dude, you never created these reports. How the fuck are you going to give me a time frame as to how long it's going to fucking take? You know what I mean? But that's just the nature of the biz, right? And you can't sit there and just solely blame it on them. You got to fucking share the blame, man. I'm beating up that horse here, but
well, we need to go towards this path because that movie sold really big. People are looking for this. Our Netflix algorithm is suggesting that we need to make a movie about kung fu pirates who also cook.
Hey, bro, listen, watch it, watch. Yo, be careful how you put fucking. You better fucking be careful how you put that fucking One Piece in your fucking voice there, all right, bro?
Like that's what's happening, and it sounds like a joke, but I'm swear to you, it's not. It's not a joke. So people have been put in
Goddamn right, the
of
One Piece
power
is real.
who want to be creative, but aren't creative. But they're put in a position where they now have to tell creatives what to do. And that's why you're seeing a lot of these things that you're seeing in film lately.
No. A studio, you whatever. I'm tired of repeating the same thing, right? I'm just like, listen, what it boils down to, the stupid fucking shit-eating grin of yours. And I'm sorry, I tried my best not to insult him, but it's just I'm so mad at hearing this garbage that's spewing out of his mouth. That's really starting to fucking irritate me. Like I'm starting to see fucking red. My pals in Power World are fucking starving to death because I'm taking the time to fucking sit here and try to sift through the shit, that's the bullshit that's coming out of his mouth, and
the
it's just so it's so fucking tiring.
Filmmakers are able to break through with like an indie film. Look at Nolan. He was able to kind of prove himself. He took those steps. You know what I mean? In the case of a lot of these filmmakers who make their first movie as a giant studio film, the studio does not look at that filmmaker as if they are an equal. They look at them as if they're someone they can boss around and tell them what to do because they're paying the bills. And what have you done exactly? And that's a lot of what we're seeing now. So pay for movies that are good. Keep paying for movies that are good. That's the only way that we can turn the dial to where it needs to be.
So yes, exactly, and I agree with him. Watch movies that are good. I tell you guys this all the time. I tell you this because I value your fucking time, right? If you have sat here and watched this video, which is probably going to be fucking close to 2 goddamn hours, okay? And I want you to understand that if I'm sitting here ranting for 2 fucking hours, right? It means that I want to put out something here for you to hopefully get my opinion, to understand where I'm coming from. I hope that I entertain you. I hope you get where I'm getting fucking mad from. I hope you understand my side, right? Because if you're gonna, I'm trying to tell you to watch something that I think is good, or if I tell you to not to watch something that's bad, it's because that's the only way we're gonna fucking win this back. That's the only way we're gonna take these products back from garbage fucking people who don't give a fuck about the original product. They just want to shove their ideologies into things, okay? And Chris, again, by you fucking skirting around it, you are being part of the problem. That Angry Joe said it fucking perfectly there. He said, you are being part of the fucking problem by not fucking addressing that. And he's right. He's right, because you should have fucking addressed the fact that this shit was fucking trash, dude. And he never did. He never, like, and yes, I get it that, like, you know, there's things said that you can, there's a lot that we can get from him not saying it, right? But it's almost like, dude, why are you such a coward? Just fucking say it. Like, don't be a shill. Don't be a fucking shill. Oh man, like, cause let's just finish this up. There's like a minute left, and I want to get done with this guy's fucking garbage here. I really do think this is a Ranma 1/2 thing, man, because I had some old VHS tapes, and they look like this.
Guys, thank you so much, as always, for watching. I really do like making these discussion videos. I do think that as I learn more about the industry, I have a unique position to be able to discuss ways that we can make it better, ways that we can help it, and hopefully, in the end, do what we all want, is to see good movies and have fun watching them. And
like, you have a unique position. He sounds like such an elitist ass right there.
I do think that as I learn more about the industry, I have a unique position to be able to discuss.
Because if I'm correct, he's part of like some critics association or something like that.
in the end, do what we all want, is to see good movies.
Sorry about that. I fucking was alt tabbing to something and it might have skipped the video a bit. Sorry, I apologize.
So pay for movies that are good.
So let's go back a little bit. Let me go back.
That filmmaker as if they are an equal. They look at them as if they're someone they can boss around and tell them what to do because they're paying the bills.
Because I believe that like this guy is a part of some critic association, right?
Keep paying for movies that are good. That's the only way that we can turn.
He's part of some fucking
needs to be. Guys, thank you so much as always for watching. I really do like making these discussion videos. I do
Critics Choice Association. He's the review aggregation. He's a proof critic. Like, yeah,
make it better, ways that we can help it, and hopefully, in the end, do what we all want, is to see
like the fact that
good movies.
I'll finish my thoughts. I'll finish my thoughts at the end of it.
Inspired. That's what we all want, right? We want to see good movies. So thank you as always for watching, guys. Look forward to more videos very soon. I've got another feature presentation video coming out this Sunday. I'm very excited about it. It's definitely not a fun movie, but it is an excellent movie called Grave of the Fireflies.
Oh my God.
Never seen
fucking
it.
Depressing as fuck movie.
But it's an absolutely
It is a very good movie though. But it's a very fucking sad movie.
Guys, thank you so much. As always, look forward to more videos very soon. And if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.
Get Stuckmanized. Like, what does that fucking mean? And what does that even mean anymore? Does being Stuckmanized mean you're gonna just pussyfoot around content that's bad and just, you know, bullshit your viewers? Like, no, I don't want to get Stuckmanized. Anyway, yeah, look, this has been a lengthy video, okay? It has been a very long video. And like I said, I wanted y'all to understand where my anger came from. I truly cherish every single one of y'all watching my content. So the fact that you're sitting here watching my content, to me means you deserve for me to sit here and tell you the fucking truth. Okay? Goddamn fucking microphone. Sorry if that cut out. Like I said, you sit here and you watch my fucking content, that means you deserve for me to fucking give you the truth. I cherish your time. You may not agree with my fucking opinion. I may not give a fuck what you think about my opinion. But I still cherish the fact that you took the time to watch my content. So you deserve to get the valid criticism. You deserve to hear the truth from me, my opinion, my right opinion, instead of me being a bullshit liar or fucking pussyfooting around it because I sold my soul to the Hollywood execs. That's what fucking made me so mad. That's one of the two things that made me so mad. The fact that you're sitting there and you call yourself a critic, but you're fucking shitting on your fucking audience makes you fucking part of the problem, Chris. That's one. Two, the fact that you sit there with that fucking smug face of yours. Sorry. The fact that you sit there with that face of yours and you got the fucking gall to sit there and act like fucking making a movie is so crushingly hard. Who the fuck do you think you are, man? Get the fuck out of here, okay? The fact that you're sitting there and you're acting like fucking making a movie is on fucking par with any other fucking person out there. Like all those other jobs that I said is a fucking joke. These people are fucking writing and playing make-believe, and you're acting like it's that goddamn hard. You can say it's fucking complex. You can say it's difficult. You can say it's a craft. Absolutely. But in the context that you said that it's hard, go fuck yourself. That's fucking bullshit, dude. It's not the fucking mines. They're not going into the fucking mines to go get coal, okay? It's not fucking hard to make movies. Not the way you're implying it is. And you think that that should somehow shield and deflect criticism of a movie, that somehow you are above and enlightened because you're not bashing the movie, just makes you seem like a fucking liar and a shill, dude. So that's my rant. I'm done. We spent forever on this. Again, let me start with what I said, and I'll end it always with this. I cherish the time that you have taken to watch my content. Whether you agree with my content or whether you agree or you disagree, it doesn't matter. I appreciate you still watching what I do. That is why you will always get my honest, brutal fucking takes on things, because you deserve that, because you are giving me something and I'm giving that back to you. Okay? So if you enjoyed this, hit all the fucking buttons, hit whatever you want, leave a comment. Let me know if you heard about this or what your feelings are about it. If I'm just fucking losing my mind. If you thought about, if you appreciated my Baja Blast endorsement, because God forbid, the studio's controlling me and I have to fucking put this out there because that will shield me from criticism, right? Shut the fuck up. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm done. I'm hungry. I'm getting hangry. Okay. You guys, please. This video will probably be coming out tomorrow morning, Saturday morning. So have yourselves a great Friday night. I hope you guys are safe out there. Take time, spend some time with your loved ones. Enjoy the weekend. I'm hoping to put out another video also on Sunday, but that might come out Monday morning instead, Monday afternoon. Because on the weekends, I'm trying to get into a routine of putting the videos on the weekends. If I put them out on the weekends, then they'll come out in the mornings. If they come out in the afternoons, then I usually put them around like 12-ish. So anyway, hope you guys take care of yourselves. Stay safe out there. Stay safe. Take care.